these things can happen because we switched off. But we need to appreciate the desire to try and go and play football even when the going got tough. To try and actually play that open pass even in a difficult situation. You need to be able to acknowledge and recognize when you become unconscious in terms of looking to do something. We simply needed to keep things nice and tidy there because we were actually boxed in there in the corner of the pitch, and what we needed to do is actually get rid of the ball. But they did a very good job in many other situations to actually build out from the back, to actually play it to one side, switch it to the other flank, and then come out the other way. And if they feel they're able to do so, and if they really believe they can do so, it's great, and we should appreciate that, and that's fine. But when there's the slightest doubt, they need to do a good job in actually going the other way. So switching things to the other side and even create a long ball without necessarily trying to build out from the back ad nauseum. But they were doubly good because everyone played their part in one teammate's issues. You could see that they all spoke in the right way. They didn't simply hold their hands up and drop their shoulders to simply amplify their teammates' mistake. They said, don't worry, these things can happen. Let's not worry, let's get back on track. Because then you need to actually try and share moments such as these over the course of a match. Just like the goal scorer goes to hug his teammates. Yes, of course, he celebrates with the fans, but then he actually goes to actually embrace his teammates, the guys who teed him up in the first place for the goal. Because there's a finisher. Of course, you go and celebrate equally when a player wins a challenge or a tackle or is able to get hold of and bring under control a very difficult ball. These are all hugely important situations, equally important as scoring a goal, and so we all need to share the load there. And so they showed that they're also a strong side in terms of their character tonight, as well as their skill set. So I'm very happy with the guys. But there are a number of things that we still have to improve, because we thought we were better than we were in too many situations. We need to be meaner. Neat and tidy in the way we build things up. You free up a man, but then you need to go there and hurt the opposition, whereas actually we were still there coming back through build-up play. And we thought we were brilliant at just keeping possession. But that's something that we need to work on, and we need to do it better. Good evening, Luciano. Congratulations, because you won the game. That's a great piece of news, and you've already explained everything with regards to these 95 minutes. But I wanted to come back to that great first half, the character you showed, but technically neat and tidy, nice interchange. I think the scoreline doesn't necessarily reflect how much better you were than Albania. They showed there was a gulf in class by playing good football. There's not a gulf between two teams, no, because we don't want to necessarily nullify the players' credit in terms of the way we actually played the game, because we played the game the right way. Yes, it's true. It comes back a little bit to what I was saying moments earlier. As you just said, the scoreline doesn't reflect the difference between the two teams. 2-1 as a final score, and you also risked an equaliser late on one ball over the top into the penalty area, and that's where the dilemmas come up. Football's easy, and whoever has the ball tries to play it through. You launch it long, Yes, you launch it long. Yes, you launch it long, but if you're able to sort this out in terms of scoring more than 2 goals, it doesn't matter whether you then launch the ball long. If you want to produce a nice, attractive brand of football, it is about pressing, yes. There is the phase where you try and keep possession in the opposition half of the field, where you try and get them chasing after the ball. But otherwise, it becomes exactly the same thing, something that it's always been. From the back, you launch it long to the target man, you try and win the 50-50, and you try and create an edge and get an advantage there. Albania pressed us with fewer numbers and they were never able to actually win the ball back off us. But they very rarely stepped out with their defensive line because their defensive line was always on the edge of the box, so it was difficult for them to squeeze up. So it was possible for us to find a player behind the line of press, and we did so many times. When you find the man between the lines, you then need to drive at the opposition defensive line and exchange passes, and that's where we created goal-scoring opportunities, but we weren't able to take those chances. But on some occasions, despite the fact that we actually found a man between the lines, we actually stayed in there, kept playing the ball, we came back without necessarily switching it to the other side to have a 2v1 as Federico Chiesa did in the first half, or several times indeed. We often kept it in the middle of the park, but when we got into the final third, occasionally you need to actually use the wide players with a 2v1 and you can create a solution that way. You've already said on TV what you needed to do better, but you said, I want us to play like we can. How much did Italy play as you can? No, I saw a great deal of things. We were never short of breath. We were never struggling. And the fact that we tried to actually play that throw-in in the first minute was our attempt to actually try and do what we've been saying over the last few days. But managing to having 4 midfielders, Frattesi, Pellegrini, Barella and Jorginho, who are able to play neat and tidy football helps you. It does help when you're able to play those short passes in tight areas. They seem useless. They seem useless. But in fact, they actually create space in another area of the pitch where you can then go and create an important situation. It's all linked. The edge that you're able to create there can then give you an edge elsewhere on the pitch. But you also need to realize when that is. And you need to actually then take on the challenge of that situation that you've created. You need to make decisions. There comes a time when you have to make a decision that you go through there. And at times, we didn't necessarily do that. We maybe kept possession and we did so nicely. But in general terms, there was something that we could have done more with regards to the number of opportunities we created. That's my opinion. I'll watch the match back carefully and then it'll be easier for me to be a bit more precise on that score. Congratulations. The question is, even though it's early, do you think Italy can win Euro 2024? It's a bit like everyone that I've come up against ever since I've been a head coach. It's exactly the same. They all say the same thing to me. Even my senior management figures here. Gaffer, what matters is to win. For everyone that says that it's important to win, and everyone's able to say that to you. And ever since I started coaching kids, what matters is winning. No, what matters is playing good football. If I'm the head coach of the Italian national team, it's because my teams... I probably shouldn't say that because, no, I'm better off not saying that. But in order to be Italy head coach, or us, in order for us to strive towards what you're saying, we only have one route to do so. That's via good football, because you need to play football. If you don't play football, there are teams that are better than us. If you go and play with the same things that the better teams have, then they will win. They know how to do everything. They're physical. We were a bit deep in the first half, so you need to actually keep the ball a bit more, because if they start to take corners, free kicks, they start to launch the ball into the mixer, then we actually struggle a bit more. Because we don't have a big physical side. Towards the end with Cristante, Darmian, Foloruncio, we had a slightly more physical side. But we need to come up with different solutions in order to try and actually sort out the gap that exists with certain teams. Everyone knows that. And the only thing that can save us is our brand of football and being a team. Otherwise, we're not able to actually get up to the highest level of European football unless we actually make strides when it comes to the way we play football. Of course, once you've played football, you also need to be mean, you need to be clinical, you need to be physical, you need to be those that charge into challenges left, right and centre. But this is the right route forward in order to dream of the thing that you were alluding to in your question. That's the right route forward. Good evening. I wanted to ask you whether you were expecting a performance like this from Niccolò Barella after a tough few days. He was injured. He didn't train much with the team. Tonight, he was the beating heart of the team, wasn't he? Yes, I was expecting it, and I picked him even though he hadn't trained as much, because that's what he's all about. If he drops deep and gets out of these congested areas, he's even better. At the start, he was often running towards the corner flag, and he wasted energy doing so. But he is the man who keeps things ticking over in front of the defence in terms of quality. He's really the one that grabs the team by the scruff of the neck and gets us moving and gets us ticking. The fact that he missed a few training sessions at this stage of the season can only be good for him. We all say, oh, we come to the end of the season, we're really tired, we're exhausted. But one guy who's missed 2 training sessions, you say, okay, he shouldn't have necessarily played because he missed 2 training sessions. No, he played because he rested up. So it's actually the contrary. It's the opposite. So I think there's no doubt about that whatsoever. He sorted out his energy levels. When we said to him that he'd actually overdone it a bit in those 2 friendlies, we saw that. But tonight, they came into the game a bit fresher. They did a better job. Barella's part of the team ethic, but he needs to do what he did tonight. We asked him to often actually run at the right centre-back of Albania, to try and close him down and then come back into defensive midfield and keep possession. He came back in and did brilliantly, and I agree with you, he had a wonderful performance. Let's move on. Spain next. So the level of the opposition also goes up now. What must you avoid doing against Spain compared with what you did tonight? I don't know. It's not that we necessarily need to say tonight what we mustn't do against Spain. Spain will probably set up differently based on how we played tonight, and they might squeeze us a bit more. So the fact that the team drop off, so when we bring the ball into the centre-backs and go back to the goalkeeper, the fact that we actually then drop in, we need to move the ball a bit more quickly because we did so badly on occasions tonight. But against Spain, there will probably be what you guys are often asking us and what you're often saying, play the ball forward more, get it forward, be more direct. And it probably, against Spain, will have the opportunity, because they tend to be more aggressive in their bite and press. So there might be greater scope to actually play in behind their defensive line, because there's the same number of players. And in terms of the way you set up, in terms of the way of knowing how to play, what matters is who can do it more quickly, who can do so more frequently, who does so at the right time. Those who are really willing to make the most of that split second as opposed to 10 seconds. If you lose that time there, then you can't necessarily recover that position. You won't get the ball back. You won't get the space back, because they're very quick at closing you down aggressively. So it'll be a different game, a completely new match, and it's very unlikely we'll see something similar to what we saw tonight. Good evening, congratulations. I wanted to ask your assessment on Gianluca Scamacca's performance. He often got the ball very quickly, but after an hour, I think you said something to him. What exactly was it that you said to him? What did you make of his performance? And is Scamacca the one who got the ball forward more than anywhere else? So if you could have another striker, Matteo Retegui, you've spoken in a previous press conference about playing two up front. Could that be an option? Yes, it could be an option. Gianluca Scamacca played well tonight. He worked very hard, he held the ball up, he got involved in the play, he exchanged passes because he has technical ability in tight areas as well. Despite the fact that he's a big man, he's not only a finisher, he's also able to drop in and link up the play. Of course, we could pick two strikers, but I don't think we were lacking strikers tonight, because if you do have that, then you lose a ball player in midfielder. They always had an extra man on the defensive line. In midfield, you have even numbers if you're able to sort out the defensive line. But of course, you can go and score more goals, but it becomes tougher when there are even numbers to actually get an edge and free someone up in order to actually go and do what it was we were able to do. I think Scamacca had 2 or 3 big opportunities to score tonight. He was unlucky, one with a header, and there are a couple of shots that the goalkeeper saved very well. But he played just like the team played as a whole. He wasn't lacking often. Occasionally, yes, because when he does something, he actually needs to catch his breath. He always needs a bit of a break, needs to catch his breath. That's almost part of a player's makeup. It's like those players that sprint at 100%. Federico Chiesa is the same. Chiesa has that really quick sprint, all power and muscles, where he actually expends double the energy of one of his peers, but then he needs 10 seconds to catch his breath. Of course, you then go and try and motivate him, and you say things to him, and you try and make sure that they are more consistent. Else, like Fratesi is, or Andrea Cambiaso is, they're more consistent. They have that greater flow, but they don't have that same turn of pace. And they need to do that. Scamacca also burns a lot of energy when he decides to come to life, whatever that particular move is, because he goes woof, and it's like a lightning bolt in the night. And that means that he therefore has to catch his breath afterwards. But I'm happy with Scamacca. No, I told him to come back and cover a bit more. He must never let the ball be played beyond him. When the ball goes to the left back should not be able to play that ball inside. He needs to come 5 or 6 yards in there to make sure they have to go around. If the ball is played infield by the fullback, the team, when they're on the other side, they're not actually able to then turn and defend that way. So they need to drop off. If he drops off, and he makes the left-back go to the centre-back and then to the other full-back, those 2 extra passes from the full-back to the centre-back allows the entire team to actually defend on the other side of the pitch. With only 1 team, the team can't turn. With 3 passes, the team can turn, and we're therefore in the right shape to press on that side. Otherwise, you need to actually wait for them inside your own half. I'll speak Italian. I apologise. It was a very negative situation for us, but we immediately overturned the situation. We took it as a positive shock to the system because we also had some flashbacks of the final at Euro 2020 when we immediately fell behind. And tonight we produced a great team performance because as soon as we went 1-0 down together as a team, just as the head coach wanted us to, we got the game back on track and we overturned the deficit. Albania did produce a tough, determined, decisive performance, and they could have even equalised towards the end. A draw really would have been the wrong result because ultimately we had the opportunities to kill the game off sooner, and that will serve as a lesson for our upcoming matches. Hi, Federico. Congratulations. We're still at the start of Euro 2024, but this win bears out just what a good united squad you are. Are there any comparisons to be drawn with this squad from 3 years ago? Yes, there are some parallels because, as you said, we are a very united together team. That was our strength 3 years ago, and I think it will certainly be a strength of us for Euro 2024 because today we showed in a very tough situation conceding inside the first minute in your first game of the Euro is not easy. Things could have panned out differently. But we have some top-class players in this team who have some brilliant ability. I think they're top-class footballers. And I think this evening, with calm and what the head coach asked us to keep the ball and to create opportunities, we're able to overturn the deficit and we deserve the win. Hi, Federico. A short time ago, the head coach, Luciano Spalletti, spoke about you and Scamacca as 2 players that really sprint forward and you expend a lot of energy, but then you take a few seconds to catch your breath. And in order to stimulate you, he says certain things to you. I'm quite curious, what exactly is it he says to you? No, he's right to say things to us. But from all of the players on the pitch, he wants to see consistency in terms of play, in terms of movement. He wants to dominate proceedings. And that's what he's said to us ever since he came into Coverciano, our training camp last September. And that's what we tried to show on the pitch today. He always gives us advice, but it was quite difficult to actually hear the gaffer on the other side of the pitch because there was a wonderful atmosphere. It was fabulous to play in front of such a big house, even though the Italians were outnumbered, but it was a magnificent experience.
Goal in the first goal they scored during the early seconds? No, io penso che, come ho detto prima, anzi, vista dal campo, per me giocare queste partite.
From my vantage point on the pitch, playing in matches such as these, there were lots of Italians, there were lots of Albanians, there were fewer Italians. But as I said, this is wonderful because when you play matches such as these in competitions like Euro 2024, it's nice to play away from home, in inverted commas, if you will. But I don't think that necessarily influenced on us conceding the first goal. That came from a mistake, from a throw-in, where we once again immediately showed, as soon as we started the game, we wanted to keep the ball as opposed to launching it long and giving it away. Hi, Federico, congratulations. You spoke about parallels between this team and the side from 3 years ago. I'd like to ask you how your view changed personally compared with 3 years ago. If you think about the Chiesa from 3 years ago and the current Chiesa, how have you evolved? I think you can see how a player evolves out there on the pitch. I have to demonstrate and prove a great deal. I've got very fond memories of the previous European Championship because ultimately we won it. And I hope that we're able to stay in this competition as long as possible. As I answered moments ago, it's in terms of being more consistent on the pitch, always standing up and being counted to be there with your teams. That's what I've been trying to do on the training ground and what the head coach has asked of me. We've also had an exchange of opinions on my position. I'm willing to play wherever, and the head coach said to me, you can play on the right, and I was very happy to do so. Hi, Federico. Now you're up against Spain, the top side. They beat Croatia 3-0 today. But you showed that you are the reigning European champions. What sort of match are you expecting? A great footballing spectacle, a real exhibition? Or will you need the bit between your teeth right up until the final minutes of the game? A great match, a top-class match. Spain showed tonight, and they've shown in the past what a great side they are, but we're no worse than they are. We'll go out there to try and compete for every ball, because whilst we are able to keep possession and dominate proceedings, the head coach also want tough players that battle in those 50-50s, because ultimately that's what you need at a European Championship. Thank you.
To give the first floor to Albanian media, and with Fatjon, my colleague, the press officer, we would like to give the first floor to gentlemen sitting in the second row, and then here, and then we go in the middle, please. Please introduce yourself as well, so you're recognized as well.
BeanymanSports. Mister, pasi kaluam në avantazh, ekipi vuajti në duelet 1-1, ku Chiesa ishte një rrezik konstant në krah. Mendon se mund ta kishim menaxhuar më.
We've had lots of crises. Do you think that we could have managed this advantage way better?
Good evening. Yes, we could have managed it better, absolutely. But we mustn't forget that we were up against a very good team. Italy really quickened the tempo a great deal. It was a very important match for both sides. They knew that they only had one route. They had to win the game because it's a very tough group, and they really moved the ball quickly. It's a shame we weren't able to resist. As I said, it's not easy because they're a good side. But I think had we not conceded the second goal above all, then it would have been a good match for us. That's what we're thinking in terms of going on the counter-attack and trying to play the brand of football that we had in mind. Unfortunately, we weren't able to withstand Italy's attacks, and it was hard the first 25 minutes for us.
Mr. Lika from Kohayon, you seem a little bit worried after the match, after you have greeted the fans. Do you have anything in your mind that you think could have changed the formation, or would have done any sort of formation change that would have helped?
Look, I was disappointed for the result. I can't hide my feelings. When you prepare a match and you're up against a team like Italy, who are such a good side, we worked for 10 days straight to try and win this match, or at least get a draw. We were never working towards a defeat. But as head coach, of course, I need to go out there and I need to thank all of the Albanians that were here. It was incredible. We said 2 days ago that the entire stadium would be red. But outside, I saw so many proud Albanians to have a team here at the European Championship. They're proud, so too are we. It's a shame that we weren't able to equalise in the final minute, but these things happen. We need to understand what we need to do in our second match. Good evening. I think we really struggled in the first 25 minutes. It wasn't easy. It's only the second time we've been at a European Championship. We have some very good young players, but it's not easy. And I said once that we need to play lots of competitions, a Euro and a World Cup, and get better. We have a good level. We have some excellent players. I think a number of you guys saw that. But unfortunately, the first 25 minutes were very tough. Lest we forget, we were up against very strong opposition, who are one of the favourites to win the competition. They've got some top-class players. Unfortunately, we didn't play the first 25 minutes well. But we stayed in the game until the end. Right up until the last 2 minutes, we had that chance to equalise. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do so. But that's the way the game panned out. Italy are a good team and they have some excellent players.
Buonasera.
The competition has begun. We have 3 or 4 matches, right? I saw the team that's actually gone out eye to eye 5 times. I've seen that so far. It's not easy. But you need to actually take the game to the opposition. That's the way we prepared the match. We tried to be very aggressive on our opponents. We tried to stop Barella and Jorginho from playing, but we're talking about very high-class players, and they keep possession. It's not a case of I said to the team, drop off, play deep. It's the fact that they get the ball, they play passes, and of course we then need to drop off. If you try and go toe-to-toe with a team like this, they can score 5 or 6 goals against you in 45 minutes. That's the way I think. And I think we did a great job on that score. We were right up until the end. We were in the game. 2 minutes to go. I think you saw that Ray Manai opportunity. Don't worry about whether a team actually deserved it or not. It's a 90-minute match, and we might have been able to concede, and that might have been able to equalise, and that would have been a different scenario this evening. Portuguese is not offered in this press conference. The interpreter apologises, but Portuguese is not offered in this press conference.
Quem você quiser, do jeito que você quiser, e vai lá e ganha, ou vai ganhar o torneio. Não é assim. Tem um crescimento e uma margem, e realmente eu tenho uma identificação muito grande com eles. Os atletas entenderam isso. Nós temos atletas em campo de 22, 23, 19 anos, muitos jogaram. Tem uma identificação com a federação, com o país, com as pessoas. Você está correto. Já tinha me falado que o estádio ia estar totalmente vermelho, e realmente estava. Então, de uma forma, obviamente, controlada, mas, sim, uma emoção muito bonita.
Dear colleagues, I don't know how is it in your ear-sets, but I think, once again, a little bit, we lost a little bit translation, so we apologize for this technical issue. If the question will be raised, the coach replies in his language, we can continue like this. Apologies, that's the start of the tournament. Left side, please, gentleman in the white shirt. Your question is next.
Yeah, Huzaifa Hamza from Al Duetto. So since he is in behind, and it was looking like he fits more for the style you were adapting during the game. So are you thinking about giving him more minutes in the coming game, or maybe play a bigger role?
Lui ha fatto bene. Ma non possiamo dimenticare che già mancavano 20 minuti di gara. Il primo 70 minuti andiamo indietro d'Italia a correre a sacrificio, a forza, non è stata semplice. Lui è un calciatore che vede porta, che si movimenta molto bene in time e ha approfittato benissimo, ha avuto l'opportunità che noi immaginavamo. Ma purtroppo la palla non è entrata. Vediamo, ancora non è momento da pensare nella prossima gara. Italia è troppo fresh nella mia testa ancora. Dobbiamo rivedere la gara e rifare un po' tutto per la prossima partita contro la Croazia.
Okay, we are back also in translation. Gentleman in the 5th row who raised your hand, please, your question is next.
Hi, Sylvinho. Nick Ames from The Guardian in London. Nice to see you. Having seen your team today and having seen the overall situation in the group now, do you feel more confident of going through than you did at the start of the day?
Io devo rispondere che in italiano.
Do I need to answer in Italian or in English?
You have don't translate. No worries about.
No, we're not blocking you.
Listen, are you trying English? It's good to see you again. Good question.
You're in English.
I was explaining Portuguese So people need to understand that the second time we are in the tournament is very hard, it's difficult. We've got a lot of young players. They're growing, they are playing good level, but of course in the future they are going to play even in the high level, because I believe in it. They are good players. So we did maximum tonight. Italians top side is very, very difficult. A lot of players that a year ago, 2 years ago, was playing the final of Champions League. We are growing, but directly in your question, of course, your ambitions, you don't know. You are playing for 3 points. If you make 3 points, we have a little opportunity to go through. You'd never know. You have to play 2 games more. Of course, the opponent, they are strong side as well, but you have to try. The guys are ambitious as well. It was amazing to see a lot of people around supporting us about Albanian, and you believe in it. But of course, you understand that you have to grow, you have to play this kind of competition much, much more. Maybe in the future to dream to go in the final, I don't know. But I'm really proud about my players. They did really well. They left everything in the pitch. I don't know, maybe the second match, I'll tell you, if you have opportunity now, I think it's a crucial game for us. Thank you.
Do we have any questions here from the press conference room? Let's try the gentleman in the front row here, and then we go there. And at this moment, I would like to also remind that there's a possibility to ask a question through the Interprefy platform. Please raise your hand online. If you hear me now in the virtual world, I'm following, but now we're going back to the live. Please.
Olá, Sylvinho, do Brasil e de Portugal. Ma vuoi parlare italiano un po'?
What will you focus most on against Croatia? From a psychological perspective, or will it be more a tactical tweak, given the fact that you lost tonight, having led? At this moment, it will come more down to tactics. I think the first 15, 20, 25 minutes, the emotional side of things was very tough. It's the second time, as I said, as the Albanian FA, as the national team, it's only the second time we've been in a Euro. It's not easy. The guys are very young. Unfortunately, the first 25 minutes were tough. And from an emotional perspective, it was very tough. I think the next match is different in many ways. We've already seen another national team. Croatia are very good. They're very technical side. They've got some top-class players. But I think the emotional side of things is actually less important at the moment. We've started the competition. Now we need to prepare well. And once again, we need to prepare well tactically to give it a go, to try and get a good result. Thank you.
Gentleman on the 5th row, he's raising his hand, please.
Hi, Sylvinho, in English, Tarek Pandra from the New York Times. You talked about the emotional effect on the players being in a competition for the second time, but also the noise in that stadium, all of that red shirt, the anthem, it was like a final for them. Emotionally, how can you get them to be calm and be ready for that? Because it will happen in the next game and the next game too, probably.
It's a great question. You understand. Listen, I told you before, once you are used to playing this kind of competition, easy. For example, that's my case. I'm used to play when I was football player, Champions League. I know what expecting to me in the night against, I don't know, Real Madrid, Milan, Juventus. But when we are not used to playing this kind of competition, you have no idea what you're expecting to play. Even people said, oh, it's a high level, high tournament, it's unbelievable, everything is high level, but you have no idea, you didn't play. that kind of competition. Thank you very much for the question. So even the second in the third one will not be easy for us, but I think it's my point of view that I understand the football. So it's the first one is a very hard, very difficult. Once you did the first match, so for me now the players is blocked. There is no problem with the emotions anymore. But I'm not talking about the big problem. I think it's normal. It's the first 10, 15 minutes, it was crazy, it's difficult for us. It happened. It's happened. We are in the competition for the second time. I'm really proud about the players, about even the fans. We've got a lot of players supporting us in the red in the stadium. It was amazing. Someone told me 2-3 days ago, said, no, you're going to be amazing in the stadium. I believe, but personally, when I saw it, was amazing, beautiful. Thank you.
Do we have any questions here from press conference? You decided to ask this one, yes, please.
Sylvinho, Fernando Calais, da Reuters. Vou perguntar em inglês, você pode responder em italiano, que você é mais cômodo. About what you just said about the emotions of the players, so how did you see your changing room, your locker room after the game? How do you see the players, how they are, after like a heartbreaking loss with a full stadium? So after all these emotions, how do you saw them after the game? Thanks.
Noi abbiamo preparato una gara per rimanere fino alla fine.
Prepared the game to try and stay in the match right until the end. They were very good, our opponents. We needed to compete and battle and do everything in our power to try and stay in the game. If we won, even better. But if you don't win, you need to avoid losing. You try and get a draw and you try and do your best. But it's by no means easy to actually convey that message to a player. They need to try. But come the end of the game, just as I am disappointed, so too are them. Because no one goes out there to lose a match. But I was proud to represent Albania, to go out there and to actually look at the staff and the players and who've been saying there for 10 days, stay in the game, and perhaps we had an opportunity to draw the match in the final minute or even win the game. And you can actually convince the players that that was the right route forward. As I've said, I didn't see the game because I was working on our match. I had all of the pre-match meetings. But I've seen other teams in this tournament, if you come up against a team like this, if you try and go toe-to-toe with them, they'll score 5 or 6 past you in the space of 45 minutes.
Fatjaan, for the cooperation in this match. We would like to wish Team Albania good luck in the upcoming games. Next match for Team Albania, it's on 19th of June in Hamburg. But here, ladies and gentlemen, we are all welcoming you back in a couple of days on 18th of June for the game Turkey versus Georgia. Please follow UEFA Media channel for all latest updates, all latest contents from other press conferences around the Euro 2024. Thank you for cooperation and have a safe trip back home. Thank you very much.